Hi, it's Benjamin Lodge from the Link Training Academy. This short presentation is going to talk to you about the Level 5 Coaching Professional Apprenticeship Standard. So in this presentation, we're going to look at three main areas. We're going to look at the apprenticeship's overview, looking at what an apprenticeship is, who is eligible for apprenticeship, and what are the key elements that make up an apprenticeship. We're then going to look specifically at the Level 5 Coaching Professional Apprenticeship Standard. We're going to look at what is coaching or mentoring, some of the essential information you need for this apprenticeship. We'll have a quick look at the knowledge, skills and behaviours that make up the apprenticeship. We'll look at the embedded qualification, the ILM Level 5 certificate in effective coaching and mentoring, and we'll look at the endpoint assessment. We'll then have a little bit of a look at how you move forward from this presentation if you'd like to get more information or enrol in one of the programmes. So, what is an apprenticeship? So an apprenticeship ultimately is a partnership between you as the apprentice, us as the training provider, and your employer, with the main aim of developing your knowledge, skills and behaviours. An apprenticeship's classed as full-time employment, so a minimum of 30 hours per week, and it includes a mandatory element of off-the-job training, which the current rules state is 6 hours per week. Now, if you have any concerns about not doing the minimum amount of hours, there are some flexibilities, so please speak to either ourselves at the Link or your apprenticeships team internally. So in terms of eligibility requirements for an apprenticeship, as we've mentioned, you must be employed for a minimum of 30 hours per week, and another one is you must not have an equivalent qualification already. You can't already be a qualified coach and come onto this apprenticeship. You must be able to prove that we'll be able to make significant developments through the training that you will undergo on your apprenticeship. You can't already know everything we're going to try and teach you. You must hold a Maths and English at a C, a 4 or a Functional Skills Level 2 or any other equivalent level of Maths and English. Again, if you're unsure about that, please do contact either ourselves or your apprenticeships team for more information. You must not be on any other government-funded training programme at the same time as being on the apprenticeship. You can only be accessing one form of government funded at any one time, and you must be eligible to work in the UK. So, a little bit of the elements that make up the apprenticeship. So, prior to start, there will be a period of interview and selection. That's going to be predominantly led by your organisation and your apprenticeships team. You need to speak to your line manager and see if they're happy to put yourself forward. The apprenticeships team will then make the decision as to whether you can move forward, and we will then complete our eligibility checks at that stage to make sure we can put you onto the apprenticeship that you want to do. You'll then progress through an initial assessment and a skills scan phase. The aim of the initial assessment is to identify what knowledge, skills and behaviours you've already got. We use that information in two ways. The first way is to adapt your learning programme, so you're only getting the knowledge, skills and behaviours that you need and you're not going back over things that you've already learnt. And secondly, we can adapt the funding that we're claiming for your qualification, so we're not claiming funding for learning that you already have. You'll then go through a period of induction where you'll learn all about the programme in more detail, the delivery model, the assessments that make up your programme, and you'll get your calendar for the whole of the apprenticeship programme. Once you move through into the unprogrammed stage, there'll be monthly delivery sessions. The monthly delivery sessions will be in person, all sessions are recorded, and we can facilitate a blended learning of online and in person, but we do stress for the coaching that in person is always best. You will develop a portfolio of evidence showcasing evidence of your coaching practice, as well as your knowledge assignments and your reflections. You'll complete the relevant qualification, which we're going to come on to in a little bit, but that's the ILM Level 5 certificate in effective coaching or mentoring. You'll undertake regular progress reviews, so that's a meeting between ourselves as the training provider, yourself as the apprentice, and your line manager or mentor to discuss how the apprenticeship is progressing, if you need any additional support, and if there's any adaptations you'd like to make to the programme. And finally, you'll complete a monthly reflective journal outlining the learning you've done in that month, the developments that you're making, and we use all that information to show that you are completing those 6 hours in off-the-job training. Once your portfolio is developed, you've completed your qualification and collected the evidence you need, you then pass through what's called Gateway. So the initial stage in that is a gateway readiness meeting, where we'll look at your current knowledge, skills and behaviours at the end of the programme to identify if you are comfortable and competent in demonstrating all of the required knowledge, skills and behaviours for the endpoint assessment. We'll then submit all of your evidence in your portfolio to the endpoint assessment organisation, which for this programme currently is Highfields, but we do have an option for you to choose from if you would choose to use someone different. You'll then go through into endpoint assessment. We're going to come on to endpoint assessment a little bit later in this presentation, so I'll save that for then. And once you've passed your endpoint assessment, we'll move through into the certification stage. So what are coaching and mentoring? Ultimately, coaching and mentoring are development approaches based on one-to-one conversations to enhance an individual's skills, knowledge, or work performance. Coaching is a non-directive form of development. It puts responsibility on the coachee to identify their own strengths, areas for development, and their aspirations, and supports them to put their own action plans in place that they can work towards to achieve their goals. It's ultimately focused on improving that individual's performance and developing them as an individual. Coaching typically lasts for a defined period of time. We typically contract for 6 sessions. We look to do a midway review and an end review, and we can extend that relationship as is necessary, but one of the key features of coaching is it's a defined period relationship. Coaching can include personal factors, but the overall emphasis tends to be on performance at work, particularly with organisational coaching, as we're going to be looking at. Ultimately, coaching provides individuals with the opportunity to take responsibility for their own development with the support and guidance of a skilled coach who can ask the right questions at the right time to challenge their limiting beliefs, help them think about the problems from a different perspective, and put plans in place to meet their own aspirations and goals. Mentoring bears a lot of similarities with coaching, is that it's still ultimately focused on the development of that individual, but typically it's a longer lasting relationship focused on the career development of that individual, and the mentor tends to be somebody from industry who already possesses the knowledge, skills and behaviours, or has the experience that the mentee is seeking to gain. And in that way, it's a more directive form of development that requires an individual who's been there and done it before. So that brings us on to the Level 5 Coaching Professional Apprenticeship Standard. Now, in addition to the apprenticeship standard, there's also the embedded qualification, which is the ILM Level 5 Certificate in Effective Coaching and Mentoring. The planned duration of this program is 14 to 16 months, and that includes 14 delivered sessions. As I said earlier, those delivered sessions are planned to be in person and will be once a month. However, all of the sessions will be recorded and you will be able to access them online through Teams if you can't make it in person for that day. And in that way, we're trying to make our programs a little bit more flexible. Outside of the session, you'll have access to a minimum of 4 hours of supervised coaching. So that's where one of our team will come and observe you coaching an individual in the workplace to provide some really individualised developmental feedback to support your growth as a coach. In terms of assessment methods, for the ILM there are 2 written assignments, one that's focused on knowledge and one that's focused on reflections on where you've used the knowledge, skills and behaviours in your practice as a coach. In addition to that, you will plan, prepare, deliver 18 hours of practical coaching with 3 individuals from your workplace. Over the programme, you'll most likely do more than 18 hours, but we submit your best 18 hours of records into your portfolio at the end of the apprenticeship. Now, the apprenticeship itself is assessed through an independent endpoint assessment, as all apprenticeship standards are at the moment. We're going to come on to that in just a couple of slides' time. We'll break that EPA down so you've got a better picture of what makes up that final assessment. So who's the qualification aimed at? Ultimately, it's aimed at anybody who takes responsibility for developing individuals within their teams or within the broader organisation. That can be aspiring or current managers who want to broaden the toolkit to use a coaching style approach to leadership and management. As we said, putting the responsibility on the individuals to identify their own development needs, plan for those development needs and meet their own targets. But it can also be for organisational coaching, working in a more formal setting with people outside of your department, supporting those individuals to plan, prepare and put actions in place to support their own aspirations or their own goals. In terms of additional entry requirements, we've already come on to it a little bit above, but you must have access to a minimum of 3 individuals from within the organisation ideally, but it's not essential, that you'll be able to access to offer coaching to. Now, there are some great networks across the NHS, and if you're struggling to find coachees, then please do reach out to your apprenticeships team. I'm sure they'll be able to support you to find some coachees. So, this slide gives you an overview of the duties that make up the coaching professional apprenticeship. If you want to take a second, just pause this video temporarily. You can have a look through them and get a better feel for the sort of content that you're going to cover through this programme. So, similar to that last slide, this slide breaks down the course content for the ILM Level 5 Certificate in Effective Coaching and Mentoring. As you can see, the certificate's broken down into 3 units, with some of the content from within those units on your screen now, if you want to have a quick look through that. So this is the Level 5 Coaching Professional Apprenticeship Standard Endpoint Assessment Overview. As you can see, the Endpoint Assessment, or EPA, is broken down into 3 different elements. Initially, you'll complete a knowledge test. The knowledge test is a 40-question, multiple-choice exam, and you get 90 minutes to complete it. Once you've passed that, or hopefully got a distinction in that, we'll move on to the next element, which is the observation. The observation is when an independent endpoint assessor will observe you completing 2 one-hour-long coaching sessions with coachees you've already been working with over 1 working day. Each session will be followed by a 10-minute question and answer session looking at the techniques and tools that you've used within that session. Finally, we'll move on to the portfolio interview. It's an open book interview that lasts 60 minutes where you will explore the knowledge, skills and behaviours that you've developed and demonstrated over the duration of your apprenticeship, and it will be based around competency-based questions, giving you the opportunity to state where you've used the knowledge, skills and behaviours. Each element is worth a third, and you've got to get a distinction in all elements in order to get a distinction overall. So who's involved in the apprenticeship? Well, ultimately, the apprenticeship all revolves around you, the apprentice. So you've got some responsibilities. You need to make sure that you attend all of the planned delivery sessions. You need to attend your progress reviews to support the setting of actions and to provide feedback to us, the delivery team, so that we know if you're enjoying the programme and you're finding it beneficial. You need to commit to completing assessments in line with the assessment timeline that you'll receive at the start of your programme. You'll complete your monthly reflective logs. You'll collect your work-based evidence of these skills, and you'll prepare and sit your EPA. We've then got the teaching team. They'll plan and deliver engaging sessions that give you the best opportunities to learn and develop the skills, knowledge and behaviours that you need to be successful, not only in the apprenticeship, but in your future as a coach. They'll also provide support and guidance on the work-based knowledge, skills and behaviours evidence, and are available Monday to Friday for any questions that you might need to ask. They'll observe 5 hours of formative coaching sessions and 1 hour of summative coaching sessions, with the aim of giving you really individualised developmental feedback that you can take away and use to develop your practice. There's also your employer or line manager or mentor, whatever shape that person takes. They'll ensure that you receive ample time to complete your 6 hours of off-the-job training. They'll provide witness testimonies at set periods throughout the apprenticeship to make sure that we know how you're developing in the workplace. They'll contribute to your ongoing progress reviews. They'll provide feedback on your development and again support the setting of actions. And one of their main jobs is to agree when you're ready to sit your endpoint assessment. We've also got the progress coach. So you'll have a dedicated progress coach who will check on your progress on a monthly basis. They'll be there for support and guidance as you move through the programme. They will plan and conduct the tri-party reviews with yourself, your line manager or mentor, and the progress coach. And they can also provide support with things like assignment writing and referencing. And finally, you've got your coachees. It's important that you pick coachees that you feel are going to attend the planned coaching sessions, and also coachees that are going to be willing and able to provide developmental feedback to you as a coach. We're going to have a bank of frequently asked questions at the end of the video, but the big one that I want to cover here that we get asked most often is, what is off-the-job training? Off-the-job training is any time where an apprentice is working on something outside of the typical day-to-day responsibilities that's relevant to the apprenticeship standard they're on, that supports them to develop those knowledge, skills and behaviours. Some typical activities that might make up off-the-job training could be completing assignments set by the tutor, attending meetings that are relevant to coaching or the overall coaching strategy, reading and researching the course material, planning, preparing and writing your assignments, planning, preparing and delivering coaching sessions and reflecting on those coaching sessions, and any other activity that you feel is supporting you to develop yourself as a coach. The rough breakdown for how we see the off-the-job being made up for this apprenticeship is 25% will be time spent attending planned delivery sessions with us, 35% will be time spent researching and completing assignments, and roughly 40% will be time utilising your skills to plan, prepare, deliver and reflect on coaching within the organisation. So that's the end of this presentation. Hopefully through watching it you've gained a better understanding of apprenticeships, the Level 5 Coaching Professional Apprenticeship Standard and the embedded qualification and the delivery model. Coming up on the next few slides you'll find some frequently asked questions and some useful links and docs. If you want any more information or to express interest, your first point of call should be to contact your apprenticeships team, and if you want information specific to our training, please feel free to contact me and you'll see my email address at the bottom of this page. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.